So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday Inspirations reading. This is focusing on just a little bit. I'll mention from Nehemiah, chapter 3, verses. Well, it'll be after verses 12, and then I'll be focusing on Phillipians 2, joy in spite of people. Just a moment here. I'm going to turn to the pages I need. So, joy in spite of people focuses on, not letting people tear you down, standing up for yourself, having joy. In Nehemiah, where Nehemiah had commissioned a bunch of people in the city of Jerusalem to be rebuilding the walls, and they had like the different gates, and so each family or sets of families would work on specific gates in the areas along the wall there. So later on in chapter 3 and chapter 4, because chapter 3 describes the different families and names of people that were working on the wall, and basically the theme was that everybody counts. So in chapter 4 it says, "Also our enemies said, before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them and will kill them and put an end to the work. The Jews who lived near them came and told us 10 times over, wherever you turn they'll attack us." So Nehemiah had stationed some of the people behind the lowest point of the wall at the exposed places, posting them by families with their swords, spears, and bows. After I looked things over, I stood up and said to the nobles and officials and rest of the people, "Don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your families, sons and daughters, your wives, and your homes." When our enemies heard we were aware of their plot and God had frustrated it, we all returned to the wall, each to our own work. That right there is very uplifting and very encouraging. And in Phillipians 2, basically continuing with the theme of encouragement, it starts, "Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being light-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility value others above yourself, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of others." Verse 12 in chapter 2, "Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault, in a warped and crooked generation." See, that part right there, I mean, that's pretty much, any generation has its share of warpedness and crookedness and just deceit. I'm really surprised that this New International Version would put the word warped, because I'm sure probably in the traditional Greek it was something completely different, maybe it was similar, but I don't know even what the Greek would have been. So in verse 14 goes on, "Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky, as you hold firmly to the word of life. And then I will be able to boast on the day of Christ that I did not run or labor in vain." So I don't know, I think it's kind of like Paul is saying that he's not going to boast, or that he will be able to boast. Verse 17, "But even if I am being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me." So, I mean, basically, Paul writes in Philippians 2 that in our relationships with one another, we're to have the same mindset as Christ had. Um, he did not consider equality with God or something to be used to his own advantage. Jesus made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. And if you take it to our context, things are going to be different. But nonetheless, it's still, the Bible as a whole is a way to live in this world that is warped and twisted, and to have joy in spite of the people that come across to you and people that you encounter that will try to bring you down, that will try to get you to turn to other things, other worthless, non-spiritual things. So that's pretty much what I wanted to get at. I don't really have any other notes to refer to, but I just want to keep this, within a relative amount of time. And I'm giving you a different image to look upon. So once again, the reading was from Nehemiah chapter 3 and chapter 4. Chapter 4 started with verse 11, and then it was Philippians chapter 2, mostly in the beginning, and then also verses 12 through 18. And I will put those links down in the bottom, and hopefully people will start finding joy. And even if you aren't a believer yet, whenever you decide that you wish to follow, and that's between you and God. And hopefully I've been somewhat helpful to people, and hopefully I've been able to reach out. Thanks for tuning in. And next week will be from Philippians 3, and that's joy in spite of things, possessions, and the like. So as always, please leave comments, thoughts, any questions you might have. I may not have the answers for everything, but thanks for tuning in.